Hello, my name is Nelson, and I'm here with my friend. And this is Let's Play Mega Man Battle Network 6. And I've just woken up from a big binge at the chip trader and stuff. What were we doing? What was important? Oh right, we've gotta go to Skytown. So Parrish, what do you remember about Skytown in these games? It's 30,000 feet, I think. Which is... yeah, it's pretty far up there. That's like 6 miles, and we're gonna get to see it pretty quick, but I have some questions about Skytown's viability as, like, a place you can go and live at. But yeah, I love how they've got the Sky logo just sort of emblazoned on the side of the administrative building there. And it's also out in the ocean, which, like, I guess sort of makes sense, because if it falls, you know, it just kind of falls into the ocean. But at the same time, like, man, it can't be easy to build something like this hanging out in the middle of the ocean. Yeah. So this is Ann Zapp. She is the wife of Count Zapp, who was a villain in Mega Man Battle Network 1 with a Navi called Electman. Electman is one of our late Navis for this game, and in the Falzer version, he is replaced by Tomahawk Man, who was introduced in Battle Network 5. Yeah. The Elect Cross will be really good when eventually I get access to it. And yeah, not much else to say there. Electman's kind of fun. Tomahawk Man's also pretty alright, but at the same time, like, he sort of takes Slash Cross's place in the Cross lineup because it's a big attack swing. But aside from that, like, Elect Cross is just crazy powerful. Tomahawk Cross is just kind of okay. I've talked through this entire battle with the Pulse Bulbs. They are a very common feature here in Skytown, and the best way to deal with them is to have breaking chips so you can hit them whenever. Otherwise, you have to wait for them to open up to reveal their vulnerable insides. I was going to say squishy insides, but they're not squishy at all because they're machines. But they're also a elect element, so if you can hit them with wood chips, they take more damage. And yeah, they're very annoying. Their attack pierces through invisibility, which means you don't get much mercy from them. And each level has a different status effect tied to it. Yeah, it's a very reactionary type thing, and especially if you can move, like, above or below them, that's generally the way to get them if you have chips that attack indirectly. Tomahawk Cross is really good for that. Gregar players have to use Slash Cross, but there's still a lot of options. Each of these little things along the road here you can jack into, but I'll be doing that later when it's demanded of me to do that. But yeah, Skytown here, it's levitating via rockets. It has rockets that are propelling itself up in the air here. And rocket fuel ain't cheap. How do they have this much rocket fuel to keep this place in the air every day? Like, that's crazy. How does it work? Yep. Yeah. They mentioned what keeps Skytown aloft eventually, but we will talk about that when it comes up. This is a nasty formation because you can't really escape any of the starfish firing out their bubbles from anywhere in your field. You have to burst fire the Buster to knock down the bubbles as they're coming towards you, and otherwise you just will get overwhelmed. But you always have the buster. You might as well be pressing the B button. What I got out of the purple mystery data there is a battle chip called Bug Fix. If you build your Navi customizer not according to the rules that have been put in there, you will be given a bug. Bug Fix will remove all of those. There are other ways to apply bugs to other people mid-battle, I think, but Bug Fix is, just build your Navi customizer so you don't have bugs. Unless, you use the one thing, the one battle chip that asks you to have bugs in your Navi customizer. But I'll show that off at a later date. I also like how they've got all these oxygen canisters here, like, in case there's a sudden depressurization, but, like, people are just walking around outside like it was okay. Like, what are the air canisters here for? Huh. Yeah, well, but I'm just very confused. I'm sorry. They could do that. Also, I got really lucky here and caught him the instant he was opening up, before his sprite even changed. So, I'm very happy about that. That's a very mean battlefield to really handle that on. If you have a cross, like Tengu Cross, that can step on those open panels, or you have air shoes fitted to your Navi customizer, you can walk on these whole panels, but otherwise you're just sort of stuck. And actually, Tengu Cross does get air shoes, right? Okay. I have to confirm because, like, it's been a very long time since I've used Tengu Cross. Also, yeah, I'm very confused about everything in Skytown and how this even works, but I like how the observation compound here is sort of implying, like, hey, we're looking down on the Earth and observing it, so all of the battlefields here have holes in the middle of them so that you can see through, I think that's clever. Yeah. I also noted there that, like, I looked at the sort of dolls that are sitting on the desk there, and instead Lan just comments about, like, the data discs inside the shelves. Those dolls, I think, are pretty common to see in Japan. I have no idea what they're called, but they were used as enemies in Battle Network 4, where they drop down from the ceiling and then they breathe, like, ice or fire or wood all over your area. So, yeah, it's kind of cute to see those. One of the other things that's sort of been inconsistent that I've noticed is sometimes when Navis are in the copy bots in the real world, they speak in all caps, but sometimes Navis and copy bots speak in regular sentences. So I'm wondering if that's just, like, his voice just sounds extremely robotic, or if he's, like, talking extremely loudly. Like, what do we imply here from that not being constant? Yeah, because right there, look, he just talked normally. Also, hello, you have a unique model, and this guy has a unique model too. Strange. Well, we'll see more of them in the future. But Mr. Weather is the thing here that controls all of Skytown, and I don't know how the Pavilion Central City thing was able to co-opt Mr. Weather into helping people do this, but Mr. Weather gives us a special umbrella. It can probably be used as a parachute if you want to float down. Hint, hint. Do you remember what the parachute does? Yeah, look at this kid. He's, like, really scared here. Like, what are we gonna do? Jump off and, like, pull out our parachute to descend on the 30,000 feet to Earth? Yeah, the best idea ever. Um, the notable thing about the sub chip merchant down there, for me at the very least, he has unlockers. The um, chip trader right there takes 10 battle chips, and I don't have 10 that I'm willing to throw in at the moment. But the as we go further through the game, we'll get access to different chip traders, and they have different chips that they will give you based on which one in what location. This is the first one that takes 10 battle chips, and like if I remember correctly, like the best kind of things you can pull out of it are like attack plus 30, which you can only put one of in your folder, but there's only one in the game aside from like the chip order service. So like that's still a good get. Also, hey, it's BBS. They keep mentioning 30,000 feet, and the this board has like an extremely depressing bent to it. Like a lot of people here are talking about the incidents, and they're just like, "Oh man, Skytown's gonna be the next thing." And then as you get further through the game, they continue to be sad and depressed. And I'm just like, how? What is morale like on this platform that everyone who works here is this depressed all the time? Like, what is it about this place that makes everyone sad? Dude, please. Don't. Yeah, but Soul Battler Take, I think is how it's supposed to be. He's trying to light the mood. He's sort of a comic relief. He kind of knows what's up, but like is wrong about one crucial thing, but he's compensating with the power of his spirit. So, he's gonna do his best. Mr. Famous. Yeah, I forget what his name is in real life, but he's based on like some guy that was working on the games. A M Iguchi, I think. I remember he showed up in the anime a couple times using his Battle Network 5 look, where he's just like wearing a big coat over his shirt that says like the year it's been since Mega Man the franchise came out, and like because at some point it's like, oh, it's 15. Hey, now it's 16. Ooh. But Mr. Famous shows up. He generally has bosses that have been like redesigned from older games that were important or were like submitted by like kids for design and Navi contests. He doesn't have a Navi in this game, but he runs a shop, and we can buy some battle chips from him. The interesting thing I've skipped a lot of the battles here, but the fun thing to note about them is that they contain viruses from much later in the game than we'd have access to at this point. Like, there was a Old Stove 3 in that previous encounter, and this is a Piranha 3. The Piranha 3 doesn't show up until the final dungeon, so yay! And look at here, we get the level 2 corn and the level 3 corn, the Mega Corn and the Giga Corn. I can't wait for the next level to be the Terra Corn. But yeah, the corn also throws out more bombs as it levels up, and it's always fun to see these guys because they're so happy to just exist. But yeah, we gotta go find our 4 judges. We've got to get our 4 win cards, and then we gotta win. Yeah. I don't know whose Navi that is, but I suppose he's here for the event, right? Hopefully. The bug frag trader here has some really good stuff that I need to go grind bug frags for. The poison seed in particular is something you need for a request later on in the game. That's why I buy one here. The Giga chip at the bottom, the bug rai sword, it's awful. It's a bad chip, but it's a Giga chip, so I eventually need to buy it. And then Neo Variable Sword also only shows up there. The Bubble Wrap chip shows up in the Q code there. It shows up in codes in other places, but it's only Q from this Bug Frag Trader shop and the order service at Asterland. And I note that because a request needs Bubble Wrap Q, and I almost had to go grind out another 36 Bug Frags until I realized it was also at the Asterland shop, so yay, saving myself time! Yeah, the trading sequence wraps up not too long into the future, actually. I also like how I was able to clip the champy there with the yo-yo as it was going out to kill the old stove, so that's fun. Also, look at that, level 3 Puffy. Oh man, that guy's gonna be so hard to deal with, right? Well, I drew Element Trap, so I guess not. But it's... yeah, doing the number trader immediately has made me extremely powerful and able to just sort of blaze through a lot of these battles, but at the same time, I'd look at it and see myself pull the same solution over and over, and I'm like, ah, come on, I can innovate a little bit more than that, right? At some point, yeah. So, yeah, I have a lot of Buster power built into things, and Heat Cross is it has. I also like how I throw out the flamethrower for Heat Cross, and then it just decides to move out of the way for it, and then it just runs around the field until it walks into the flamethrower twice. And I'm like, I'll take it. But yeah, here's a regular pulse bulb, and oh hey, there's level 3. I pause for a little bit because that thing scares me. But the nice thing about playing Gregar at this point is you have a cross that can hit up and down. And I suppose Tengu Cross can do that too. But at the same point, it's like... you might have Wide Sword in your folder at this point because you might have a program advance for it. But it's... yeah. Slash Cross is really good and really strong, and I like using it a lot. Words, I don't know. Yeah, especially since empowering your Buster for charge and attack power makes them a lot stronger. And there's a lot of early game encounters where if you do the number trader and get Buster up, I can't. The Buster Pack is the name of the Navi Customizer code, where it just gives you +3 and everything. Your Buster's really handy for being able to just run through most random encounters at the start. Like if you haven't figured out how to make a good folder, or you're just throwing all of your best chips together regardless of what code they're in. Like, there are many fallbacks to sort of keep you up to pace as you're going through. I also like how there's a tree, and there's fire, and there's just a cloud here in the sky area. Like, the obstacles put on the net to get you to use the link navies to open them up are getting a little strange, you know? It's also a bit disappointing that you have, like... to get out of the sky area, they give you a vacuum cleaner to clean out the purple cloud in Central 3, but you can't use that on any other clouds. Same with the axe that you got to get out of the green area. Like, you can't use it on any of the trees either. Also, hello, Mixed Navi. He's gonna win, but they are still having their fights. Oops. As always. Yes. Oh no. Actually, what happens if anybody slides off the net? I'm trying to think if that's ever happened. I can't think of a time. Huh. Yeah. Or someone falls into the big hole. Ah! Yeah. Yeah, it's really strange. Also, hello, SP level viruses. Sometimes the strength of the virus is not enough for the difficulty that developers have intended. So some of these special fights will have special virus encounters. in Battle Network 3, I think was the first time where these started appearing, and they were like they were used to spice up random like story battles, and then they were also around for the virus breeder special event minigame thingy. So they return in Battle Network 6 in full force for some of these story fights, and then eventually they will disappear off the map to never really be thought of again. But it's kind of nice to see just a little bit stronger versions of them as parts of these hard tests. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, this guy's special. Also, we just got to see there that the bee moves around at its highest level. The Gregar does as well. One of the other things that I've sort of noticed about this game is that there are like six recolors of just about every type of virus in this game, because you've got the standard 1, 2, 3 lineup. Then for every virus, there are the rare encounters that you can get for the virus battlers, so there's 2 more colors right there. And now there's the SP versions, which are the rarest of them all. Yeah, there's a lot of them in here, and it sort of reminds me of, like, Battle Networks 4 and 5, where they're just like, oh, well, we've got, like, the regular Metar, and then we've got the extended Metar, or the extreme Metar. I have no idea what EX meant in those games, but they had, like, buffing them up a level because they didn't want to go directly to Tier 2 until, like, stuff started happening in the game. The level 3 Armadillo there also has a special gimmick where, like, the regular Armadillo only goes 3 panels ahead. The level 2 Armadillo goes 4 panels ahead. The level 3 Armadillo goes 5 panels ahead, so he can get you no matter where you're standing. Also, hey, regular up 3. I've actually done a little bit of, like, collecting and making sure I've got things by this point. So, like, we're halfway to the HP cap right now. I don't remember what the memory size is for regular chips at this point, but, like, everything's coming along. So, it's nice to feel that I've gotten a lot stronger, even though we're, like, 2/3 through the game. So, there's a lot left to see, and eventually we're gonna reach maximum power, but it's gonna take a while. Yeah, because player skill can take you a lot further than, like, just sort of character strength. Like, the chips are alright, but if you can counterattack everything, like, at the beginning of the game, you can one-shot just about everything. And with the chips you get, you can continue doing that going forward. And, like, depending upon how well you can handle, like, the... what's the word I'm looking for? Like, counter hits and such, versus, words are hard at the moment. I didn't think this through before starting on this thought. I'm sorry about that. I guess the nice thing to note from this battle is that Groundman's rocks falling from the sky can break through the Pulse Bulb's shields. But, like, player skill can compensate for a lot of the expected power curve of this game, and it's really nice to be able to come back to it and be like, oh yeah, I remember the timings of all these, and be able to just immediately pull it off. Yeah, it feels really good. It's really comfy to come back to. Also, hey, that's the undernet over there. Don't go to the undernet. Oh no. I also like how they have a massive gate to say this is where it is this time, as opposed to previous games where you just sort of, like, walk into it and it looks the same as anywhere else. Well, that and, like, rebuild your folder maybe for the task at hand. That there was the Mega Cannon, the final level of cannon, and I'm just sort of looking through the codes I've got, and I'm like, huh, I'm getting to the point where maybe I should start upgrading to level 3 on those. But I also like how they've got that lady just laying on the ground over there saying, this is way too tough. And this is the guy just like, I'm level 4. There's 10 of these. You ready? Like, this is the longest, like, consecutive fight that I think you have to do in this game. Previous games have had, like, 30 in a row or 20 in a row, but this game's just like, we're gonna stop at 10. Yep. And yeah, because back in Battle Network 2 and 3, they also had enemies where you could only hurt them by swords. So if you weren't, like, paying attention as you were building your folder and taking these things, you'd get to, like, round 25, and all of a sudden, there's a virus you can't hurt because you don't have any swords in your folder. You just throw your hands up and turn the game off, you know? One of the nice things about the cross system is that you can never, like, be taken advantage of in that way, because I think every encounter with an enemy that, like, can only be damaged in a specific way does not include any viruses that have the weakness for the crosses that can hit that weakness, you know? So, say you had Slash Cross in those older games where they're the enemies where you can only hit them with the swords. There won't be any enemies with breaking element that are paired with those guys that are absolutely weak to sword. The shrubbery is also doing a good job of demonstrating here that you can, that wood viruses and navies and such will heal when they're standing on grass panels because they just absorb earth energy and get bigger. Yep. Yeah. Especially when, like, a strategy if you're playing Falzer and you have the Tomahawk Cross is you can install Undershirt or Undershot on your Navi Customizer, and then there are, with the Element Man Navi chip, you can turn the entire stage to grass. So if the opponent can't, like, hit you with a battle chip and then immediately follow it up with a buster, and you're doing, like, PvP stuff, they won't be able to delete you because you'll start healing back HP, and then you'll get back to the undershirt again. If you're just playing through the game regular style, you're probably never going to be able to get yourself, like, defeated unless you can, like, unless the enemy has some way to change the panels or they hit through, like, your Mercy invincibility many times or something. Like, only the bees at that point can kill you. Oh god, not the bees! Oh! Yeah. The only downside to that, of course, is that you are quadruple weak to grass when you are wood and standing on grass. But it's still fun to just kind of think about. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of little things like that in this game where it's like, hey, here are some really fun, specific situational combos that we can think of and, like, sort of put up in the, like, what do they call it? Like a white room simulation or something like that, where you just put something in a vacuum and you're like, yeah, this is really good and cool. I didn't know what it's called off the top of my head, but I just wanted to just, like, throw that out there. I'm used to that language coming in, talking about D&D stuff, where people are like, yeah, Bob Build's cool. Anyway, we have the 4 win cards, so we've won. We need to go back and talk to the judge somewhere in here. And we will be proclaimed the winner. Oh, look, here's the judge. I like how he's hanging out next to the most difficult ones. And now he's back to speaking in all caps again, even though he was in lowercase while directing us to Mr. Weather. Yep. And now we can get out of Sky Area because we have the vacuum data. I wonder how many of the others did. Ah, here he comes. So how'd you do? What do you think? Does it look like I won? but Mick got pretty darn far into there. Like, he only had to complete 3 more battles, and he was going to be the operator Navi. Well, no, there's another level after this, but, once again, Mick's Navi is not happy with how Mick is treating him. I also like how he's just like, hey, that Navi looks pretty strong, but I don't know if he can take care of things. Also, how quickly did he get kidnapped? Like, we didn't have any chance to even leave Skytown here. He just got immediately kidnapped. What are you doing? Yep. Yep. I wish I could win $1 million. But yeah, I tried running from this fight because I didn't get a good hand. Got whacked a couple times. And yeah, I just sort of sit for a little bit and I'm like, is there any change to the folder that I want to do to this? Nah, let's just go out there. So, I'm trying to recall what's in, like, the rest of this video here, because I know I go and wander out into the world for a bit. Yeah, I guess that is what I'm going to do here. So at this point, I'm like, you know, we finally have access to all the boards. It's been a while since we've checked up in the seaside area and the Greentown. This is also a good point to, like, digest and just kind of talk about what's going on here. So, maybe it's a good time to just sort of review where we're at in the story. So, Parrish, we're going to be going to the Undernet because a strange group has kidnapped Mick Snappy. What do you think we're going to find there? Yeah, wonder if that group, those guys, the incident, is coming back. So we got the vacuum data here. We can finally open it up to Central 3. We've got 3 exits to other parts of the net aside from the central area here. So yeah, it's sort of turned into the hub. Aside from the plot contrivance of the bad guys coming back from the internet, that lady on the board mentioned, hey, Skytown's probably next. What do you think that mysterious group be looking for here in Skytown? Yeah. That... Yeah. Especially because Skytown, like, controls all the weather for the area, so they could just make it, like, crazy hot, or pull up a windstorm, or create a tsunami or something. I don't know. Well, not a tsunami, like a hurricane. Typhoon. That's a... Well, there's a couple of them. Is this, like, Sharknado, or is this, like... What? There's a movie called, like, Tornado or Twister or something like that, where if, like, there's apparently an evil sentient tornado that's going around and, like, wrecking stuff, and what I remember hearing about it is there's, like, a lady where she's just like, yeah, I'm out to get my revenge on tornadoes because a tornado killed my dad, and, like, if you read between the lines, it's as if she's saying that this tornado killed her dad all the years ago, so it's just been going for years. Like, can Mr. Weather create permanent tornadoes to just, like, ravage Central City or something? And then what? Then where does it go? Garbage Island. I love that place. Yeah. One of the other things I want to talk about in this sort of downtime. One of the strengths of the writing of Battle Network 6 here is its sort of limited scope on characters and such. So Mick is like, Tab's also here, and he's kind of our friend, but he's just sort of sarcastic to Mick. And I also like how this guy's called Wolf Attorney. Just want to pause with that. But having time spent with Mick lets us have time to see him sort of grow and develop and kind of learn what he's about, because we know what Land's about, we know what Mega Man's about, we know what all our old friends are about, and we need something kind of new to go with this new setting. And the way they've done Mick here, I think, works really well, because he gets all of the focus and all of the attention. So, I like that the writing is sort of condensed down to a smaller cast of characters compared to, like, here's all of Land's idiot friends. We've got the young snotty one, we've got the girl that likes Land, and we've got the big brash bully. Yep. He's trying his best. He's trying his best, you know? But it's sort of like when you're going to, like, the grocery store or something, and I had to do a little bit of nut surfing there, and you see, like, your high school teacher or your grade school teacher there or something. Or there was a point where, like, we went to a friend's house for D&D, like, in high school or something, and then we saw, like, our middle school English teacher there. Like, she just pulled up in a car and got out as we were about to leave, and it's just like, oh, hey, how's it going? I guess that's what it's like seeing Mr. Mock just post in, like, Greentown. Like, why is Mr. Mock here? What could he possibly have to do in Lawyer Town? You know, yeah, especially because, like, we're gonna see Mick post there later on, or, like, Mick posts in a couple places as we see through things here. But, like, one of the other things I just realized is I think I know the answer about why Mr. Mock was in Greentown, but it's related to late game revelations of Mr. Mock about, like, I don't know, like, his family and such. So we'll get to that when it comes up, I think. But, like, coming back to this game when I'm an adult as opposed to when I was, like, you know, a teen when I played this for the first time. Like, you get a lot more out of this story from its subtleties than you do from just, like, taking it as face value and just chewing it up and spitting it out. Also, look at how much I have to read here. Oof. I did it because I need money to pay for my treatment of super AIDS. Yeah. Yeah. One of the other things I like to note about the Aquarium BBS here is that, like, everybody is really kind of happy here. There are so many of these summer-loving boys that are just sort of hanging out and posted on this thread. Then the director walks in and he's like, I guess I'm just going to start promoting the aquarium because we're here. So, yeah, let's have some fun. Also, they're talking about an evildoer with a strange smile on the back of his face. Like, they're talking about Circus Man, but I don't remember a weird smile on the back of his head, unless his head could just rotate around like 180 degrees, but I don't know if that's a thing that, like, evil clown stereotypes do. I had to go back and read it again, just like, did I really see that? Yeah. Also, I like how I heard it from my dad that the Cybeasts are loose. This person's like, Cybeasts don't exist. Like, it was 60 years ago. That's living memory. I also like how there's this 60-year-old dude who's just like, I'm old, but I'm gonna be the operator, Navi. And then later on he's like, I didn't make it, but I sure love net surfing. It's... the game is really fun. I like how he... Yep. He doesn't know what a security camera is because he's old. Like, you wouldn't be retired at the age of 60 here in the US, like, unless you're crazy rich. But, like, this guy who probably has to work around security cameras all the time in this high-tech society doesn't know what a security camera is. That's a good joke for it. Yeah, I like it. Alright, well, we're nearly done reading the fun things on the BBS. What are your closing thoughts, Farish? Only if your teacher shows up to help, but we've got to find Mick next time on Let's Play Mega Man Battle Network 6. I hope you all have a nice day.